What's your name, age, and major?
Matt Feld, I'm 19, and I'm a computer science major.
Awesome. When was the first time you heard about data mining?
I mean, like the word or what it means.
Yeah, I would say like the term and what it means. Or if they were different times, you could feel free to explain both at a different time.
I mean, I've heard the word for a while. I didn't really kind of understand what it meant as a process until like junior year of high school.
Okay. And what did you think of it when you realized what the process was talking
I
about?
mean, by data mining you mean just like using statistics to draw conclusions about like or find patterns in large bodies of data, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's definitely something that I like known about, but not ascribed a term to. It's like I mean, it's something that I do, and it was something that I had done on a smaller scale, like on my own. Whenever I decided to do computer science projects, um, but I mean, I guess what was the question? Sorry.
Why don't you explain what that project was like and what kind of data mining you were doing?
Oh, I mean, it wasn't any one project. I'll try to think of a project. Um,
Or explain anything.
I know. For a math project in 10th grade, I used data mining to work on a program that would take any Rubik's cube from a certain series of configurations, and I used data mining to be able to find the best case algorithm, which would solve it from any position in like 18 moves,
That's awesome.
which is pretty cool.
That
Like
is
so,
cool.
like you
So where did you mine the data from then?
I mean, you'd plug in. What I did was, I mean, it worked kind of like a genetic algorithm, where you would where I would take a large sampling of like Rubik's cube, like configurations, and then I use genetic algorithms to find what the shortest response would be, and or like I mean, genetic algorithm is a way to find the most efficient path between two objects using like it mimics the evolution like the evolutionary process in nature.
Yeah.
And so I use that to non-mathematically figure out like the shortest path from certain Rubik's cube configurations to the solutions, like their optimal solutions.
So you weren't like pulling data
Well, no,
from other humans.
I guess it wasn't from other humans, but then I used 1,000 of these different samples to put together like an analytic understanding of how to get from a certain Rubik's cube configuration to the solved configuration, and from that I was able to create an algorithm that allowed me to like instantly find the shortest path between Rubik's cube and the solved Rubik's cube.
That's awesome. Do you have any preconceived notions about data mining in general?
No,
Like, for example, if you were about to be called on to jury duty and it was a data mining case of some sort.
what do you mean?
Like, let's say you get, like, your card gets chosen as someone who's over 18 to become a juror about a data mining case. And they were to ask you, are you an objective juror? Do you have any preconceived notions about data mining?
Like morally, like is it bad
Yeah,
or good?
morally, or just like, I mean, like, your notion could be morally founded, or your notion could be economically founded, and say my preconceived notion is that it helps the economy or helps businesses, and it helps.
Oh, I mean, data mining, like finding patterns within human behavior over large like population samples, I think is like an excellent tool. I think it's a very good thing. It's definitely one of the most powerful tools we have to date of like finding consumer habits and being able to tailor things to certain groups of individuals. Because like I mean, if the market literally is just finding or creating markets for products that people want, like data mining is far and away the most efficient means of obtaining that information that we have so far.
And do you have any moral concerns about data mining?
I mean, it can definitely be used to manipulate certain target populations. Like, regardless of what you may believe about Romney and his campaign, like a huge part of his campaign was dedicated I mean, maybe not from him directly, but there were definitely large Republican-centered campaigns dedicated to intentionally disseminating like ill-conceived or sort of misperceived and false information to people in certain social groups that they knew would really would be very changed by that information. Like things like how the Obama birth certificate scandal came out. Like a lot of people, I'd say the majority of the population just thought that was ridiculous, and that was the last election, not the 2012 election. But like there was definitely a certain demographic that
Was catered.
that political lobbyists realized would be very susceptible to this kind of misleading information, and so they sort of pushed it that way, even though that wasn't necessarily going to lead to the best electoral outcome. It was just using some kind of tactic to change people's opinions. So I mean, in that respect, like with any tool of a given amount of power, it's going to be able to be manipulated. And so I have no moral concerns about it existing, because I know that it's going to be misused the same as anything that will be misused, and you can't prohibit the progress of technology on its potential for abuse. You just have to safeguard it.
No, I agree.
Adequately.
So I'm just trying to think of another progress of technology that possibly in the United States I would advocate was not properly safeguarded, and to me that would just be firearms. Like I would consider firearms a great example of a progress of technology that America completely neglected to safeguard. When compared to other westernized nations, even like England, Canada, France, Italy, So I guess my question would be, with your computer science knowledge background and major and everything, are you concerned about the safeguards of data mining? Do you think that, that humans will be able to progress socially, mentally, to an extent, to safeguard data mining? Or, do you believe it is feasible to safeguard data mining in the future? For example, how complicated it's going to get with the monopolization of online markets, like Bing and Google. You have two options. Bing I hate, because I don't think it works as well as Google, in my opinion. It's like, so basically you have Google, and you have Google making an incredible, amount of profit off data mining. And so my concern is this, like, with the monopolization of the online markets, I have a feeling that there really isn't too much of an option, just like there's not too much of an option about where you buy your diamonds, where you buy your sunglasses, where you get your energy. There's not too many options. So, for example, if it does get to a point where, let's say you do have a concern about the privacy and an invasion of privacy, but you need to do your homework, where do you,
I mean, Google recently has capped 70% of the market share for search revenue, meaning they effectively dominate the search market. Meaning any kind of analytics and data mining they're going to have far and away the fiscal and resource monopoly over that kind of data mining. And so at that point, the government is starting to act upon that, and there are a lot of growing concerns that Google's become absurdly powerful. Especially considering that they're starting to move into hardware. There have been attacks on, and Google Fiber. If Google Fiber takes off, they will essentially control every aspect of us accessing the internet. They're gonna control if we had the Chromebook. So they have the Chromebook. So they have control of the computer we're using
for $250.
Yeah, for no money at all. Google Fiber is going to be the hardware upon which we access the internet, the connection to the internet. Google Drive and Google Cloud services are going to be the dominating cloud services on the internet. And then Google is going to be the tool, the search, the gateway to any kind of site we want to find on the internet. So they would vertically integrate every part of us accessing the internet, which obviously has cause for concern. But even if we are selling out our right to privacy by using these products, they're giving us faster, better computers at cheaper prices, insanely faster cable and internet abilities for cheaper prices. They're going to use the standard Google Fiber cable package if it becomes nationally implemented will be twice the speed what cable and broadband providers provide now for free. Like, they won't charge you anything to run that level of internet access. Google Chrome has the fastest JavaScript engine in the world, is the most efficient and most secure browser in use today, and it's totally free. Android is an open source, incredibly well designed, incredibly efficient operating system used on mobile and tablet devices. It's also free. The Nexus 7, their new phone, promises to be cheaper than any of the other phones. So, I mean, are they? I mean, there's no doubt that they are taking advantage of our privacy in the sense that, like, they now are able to track using GeoIP, IP searches and cookies. They're able to track every single search we make, and using, accounts and other sort of things. And so, for every person in the country that uses Google more than like 10 times a year, they have a profile of that person, their likes, interests, what they've bought, what they've searched, all of it in the past like 3 years. So they have these little profiles of every single person in the world, and using data mining, they can use that to very, very precisely advertise to us. So the question becomes not necessarily are they abusing their power, but are the services that this data mining and this kind of information processing is providing us worth the privacy that we're implicitly giving up to them?